Are you guys ready for UFC 287, Adesanya vs Pereira 2? This fight is a dream for any super fan, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for this highly anticipated rematch. So stay tuned because I'm going to share my fight predictions for UFC 287, Adesanya vs Pereira 2. And if you're interested with staying up to date with all my fight prediction videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone is doing well. So we have UFC 287, Pereira versus Adesanya 2, Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. This should be a really good card. Takes place in Miami, Florida on April 8th, 2023. Okay, so pretty excited about this card. Main card's pretty sweet. Be some good fights on here. Prelims has some pretty decent card fights as well. So let's start off with the first fight of the night, Sam Hughes versus Jacquelin Amorim. So Sam Hughes, her most recent fight she lost. Before that, she was on a 2-fight win streak, I believe. Yeah, and then she's lost to some pretty good girls like Tisha Torres. Luma Lookpunmi is a really good striker. The losses that she does have are by decision. Lost to Pierre Rodriguez, who's undefeated as well. So I mean, the girl that she's fighting, I think, is more of a specialist, definitely more of a ground fighter from what I've seen. I've only seen her most recent fight. She does train at a good gym, American Top Team. But I seen this fight, she was very dominant on the ground. I do know, like, Ashley Nichols is more of a striker, but she did look really good on the ground. So for this one here, guys, I'm gonna have to go with... I liked how this girl looked. I definitely think it'll be her toughest fight yet. Like Sam Hughes is a veteran. I think it'll be Jacquelin Amorim's toughest fight. But I'm going to pick Jacquelin Amorim for this one. And then we have Steve Garcia for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. So Steve Garcia, I really like his striking style. He does get overly aggressive sometimes. He just KO'd Chase Hooper in the first round. Chase Hooper has really bad striking for being in the UFC. Like, no disrespect to the guy, but his striking is definitely on the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to UFC fighters. Really good grappler, but he fought really smart against Chase Hooper, just kept it on the feet, beat him up. This guy here, Meershart, he was actually doing pretty decent against him. He just got overly aggressive and got caught with a nice counter right. I actually do think technically Steve Garcia's boxing is actually really nice. Pretty good striker. I do like his style. I just think sometimes he gets overly aggressive and kind of gets caught. Like this one here, this guy has super nasty power and he kind of just pressured a little too hard, I noticed. He could have fought him a lot smarter. I think could have been a different story for him. So I'm hoping he kind of learned from that. So this guy here, kind of similar to the guy he got knocked out by. A lot of power. I don't think he is technically as good striking wise. From what I've seen. I mean, I've only watched these couple fights from him. This fight was the one that was under investigation, so this one was kind of sketchy to watch anyway. But this one here, I think if Steve Garcia fights smart, he might be able to actually win this fight. With that being said, if he doesn't fight smart, I could totally see this guy knocking him out. But I'm gonna go out on a limb on this one. I'm gonna take a chance on this one, and I'm just gonna go with my gut. I feel like Steve Garcia is technically the better fighter. He just needs to show that in this fight and not be overly aggressive. If he can do that, I think he can pull this one off. So I'm gonna pick Sam Garcia for this one. Okay. So then we have Trey Ogden versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Trey Ogden, Ignacio Bahamondes, I like how he just looks like everything's a little bit tighter with his defense, his striking. Trey Ogden drops his hands a little bit more. Trey Ogden is good at moving in and out, though. He doesn't get hit a lot from what the fight that I did see with him, which was his most recent fight. I found he was just literally outpointing this guy here, Daniel Zellhuber, who was making, I believe it was his debut fight. Super young guy. Just seemed like he kind of was just outpointing him the whole time, just slightly, just enough to win the rounds. Nothing crazy. Fought a smart fight, but I wasn't like overly impressed with him. So other than that, we got Ignacio Bahamondes, who I think is a little more aggressive. He's going to be more active than Trey Ogden. I do think his striking is a little more crisp, definitely for the offense. Trey Ogden definitely has, I wouldn't say like good defense in like the sense of like head movement and stuff. I just think he's very good at like timing, going in and out, throwing his shots, landing, and then getting out quick, being really safe. Where Bahamondes does get a little bit more into the, probably puts himself more in situations to get hit, but I do feel like he does keep his hands up pretty well. A little more aggressive, like I said, more, just a little bit more cleaner, sharper technique, in my opinion, when it comes to striking, at least. So his last fight, he beat Zhu Rong by Bravo choke, and then he wheel kicked Roosevelt Roberts in the head before that. So I mean, he's only fought like once last year. Trey Ogden's fought more recently. But with that being said, for that fight, I'm going to have to pick Ignacio Bahamondes. Okay, so then we have Lupita Godinez versus Cynthia Cavillo. So Cynthia Cavillo, I think she's fought some tough girls, but she hasn't won a lot recently. So yeah, she's lost to Nina Nunes, who's pretty good. Like, even though her record's not the best, she is still really good. Lost to Andrea Lee by corner stoppage, round 2. Jessica Andrade, who most people lose to. Caitlin Chukagian, who's really good at winning decisions. So before that, I mean, she's won one in her last 5. So I mean, beat Jessica I, but nothing crazy, right? She's kind of lost to. But I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose to these guys, especially I feel like she's like an undersized flyweight. Like, she's not super big. Like, she's 5'4". She's not super big for the weight class or anything. So Lupita Godinez, let's see who she has fought recently. So she lost to Angela Hill by decision. It's understandable. Angela Hill's a veteran. Beat Ariane Carnelosi and Luma Lukbunmi, which is pretty impressive. Lost to Luana Carolina. So, I mean, for this one here, I think just based on the fact that Cavillo hasn't won a fight in a long time, and the last person she did beat was only Jessica I, I'm gonna have to pick Lupita Godinez for this one. Okay, so then we have Gerald Meershart versus Joseph Pyfer. So I think for this one, Joseph Pyfer, I think his game plan obviously will be to keep it on the feet, try and knock out Gerald Meershart, and Gerald Meershart will be trying to get him to the ground, and get a submission. Obviously, that's definitely his game plan. So Gerald Meershart has like 50 fights. It's a lot. I think he's on a couple fight win streak now. Or sorry, he's on a 1 fight win streak. He lost to Christoph Jocko. He did beat Bruno Silva, who is really good, who actually took Alex Pereira to a decision. So that was pretty impressive that he was able to beat him. Before that, he was on a 3 fight win streak, lost to Kamza, got knocked out quick. I'm sure Joseph Pyfer would love to go in and do exactly what Kamza did and just land a nice right cross and knock him out. That being said, I do think he's gonna fight Joseph Pyfer a lot smarter than. I just don't think I think he kind of underestimated Kamzat, to be honest. Gerald Meershart. And Kamzat is a beast, so let's see here. So yeah, he's lost to Dustin Solfis on his one contender series fight. He did get his elbow dislocated just by trying to plant out on a slam on that one. Then he won a fight in CFFC, knockout in the second round. then one on the Contender Series, knockout in the second round, then won his debut in the UFC and knockout the first round. I do think Gerald Meershart's going to be his most experienced opponent by far, and I do think, like I said, if it stays on the feet, Joseph Pyfer has a good chance of winning the fight. If it goes to the ground and Gerald Meershart can kind of just wear on him, Gerald Meershart will definitely win. So I'm gonna have to pick Gerald Meershart for this one. Okay, so then we have Karl Williams versus Chase Sherman. Karl Williams just fought about 3 weeks ago, and he won a pretty close decision. It was grueling. They were super tired against Lucas Bresky. It was only a few weeks ago, so it's coming back. He did take this fight on short notice, I believe, actually, because Chris Barnett just dropped out. I think he might have had an injury or something. So, I mean, he won in the Contender Series, just won his debut, hasn't fought a super large amount of experienced opponents, but let's see here. So, but he is on a 5-fight win streak, with that being said. And Chase Sherman, I think he's lost a few fights. Yeah, he's lost out of his last 6 fights, he's lost 5 of them. With that being said, there are some good guys here, like more experienced guys for sure. Andrei Arlovsky by decision, Parker Porter decision, got tapped out by Alexander Romanov. And this guy's undefeated at that point. Jared Vandera, he beat him, but I think that's pretty much the guy that most people are beating. So, and then he lost a decision to Waldo Cortez Acosta. So I definitely think he's fought the way tougher competition, without a doubt. And his record reflects that. That's why has a lot more losses than Karl Williams. So it's kind of like the veteran versus the new guy, right? So that being said, I think Karl Williams has a really good style, good grappling, really good wrestling. I do think Karl Williams will probably be more athletic, be able to take him down and kind of just beat him up. And I do think it'll be Karl Williams' toughest fight. It is a step up in competition, I believe, but I do feel like he should be able to win a decision for that one. So for that one, I will pick Karl Williams. If you guys enjoy the videos, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with any fight prediction videos. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video for my fight of the night pick. Okay, so we now have Michelle Waterson versus Luana Pinheiro. So I think the game plan for Luana, same thing. It'll be to get Waterson to the ground, use her judo, get it to the ground, fight to get it where she's going to be strongest. And Michelle Waterson obviously will be to keep it on the feet. I think really use her side kicks and her movement to not get pinned up against the fence or to get into a clinch situation where she'll most likely get taken down. I think Michelle Waterson, yeah, her best game plan would be to stick and move, constantly stick her with her side kick, which is she does have a really nice side kick. Just kind of just outpoint her, and don't let Luana just kind of pressure her back into the fence and give her like a head and arm throw, which she's really good at doing. So let's see here. So Michelle Waterson, she has a lot of fights, fought a lot of veterans. Lost to Amanda Lemos, who's a beast. Marina Rodriguez, another beast. Before that, she beat Angela Hill. I mean, so she is losing to like the top tier people when she loses. Tisha Torres, Rose. Like if you look at all the people she's lost to, like it's pretty crazy. It's not like all these people when she's lost them, they're all probably top 5 or top 10. And Luana Pinheiro hasn't fought the same level of competition yet. She has a much better record, but she hasn't fought anybody on the same level. Like toughest people she's probably fought is Randa Marcos and Sam Hughes, which isn't saying a lot compared to who Michelle Waterson Gomez has fought. So So for that one here, I think Michelle Waterson, like I said, if she can fight smart, keep her distance, stick and move, it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be easy fight for her, but I can see her winning a decision by outpointing Luana Pinheiro. If she gets it to the ground, I think it'll be her fight. But I feel like Michelle Waterson's experience and the level of competition that she's fought, she should be able to get the win for this one. Okay. So then we have Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. This one was a tough one for me to pick. Chris Curtis has about 40 fights, Kelvin Gastelum about 25. So Kelvin Gastelum hasn't had a lot of wins lately. That's kind of the part that's got me worried about him. But with that being said, he has fought really good guys. Darren Till, Hermanson, beat Ian Heinisch by decision. Lost to Adesanya, that super close decision. Robert Whitaker, Jared Cannonier. So I mean, all really game guys he's lost to. He hasn't fought since 2021, so almost 2 years from the date. So that's quite a while. And then Chris Curtis, he just knocked out Jacquelin Buckley. A lot of experience, this guy. Lost to Jack Hermanson. So that was definitely his toughest fight. Before that, beat Rodolfo Vieira, Brendan Allen. So, I mean, I think this will be a pretty good fight. Good strikers, both guys. I do feel like Kelvin Gastelum should have a speed advantage, for sure. Some reason I feel like Kelvin Gastelum should be able to win this fight. So I am going to pick him, even though I'm not 100% confident on this one, because Chris Curtis is really tough and just a lot of experience, really good fighter as well. So I'm just going to take a chance on this one and pick Kelvin Gastelum. So then we have Raul Rojas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. So Christian Rodriguez, he just won a fight in the UFC. I believe that was his first fight. No, that was his second fight. He lost the decision to Jonathan Pierce, who's a pretty good fighter. He's on a pretty good win streak right now. Lost the decision to him, which is pretty impressive. Fact that he went 3 rounds with him. Beat Joshua Weems by Anaconda choke. I mean, he did get taken down fairly easy at the beginning of this round. I think Raul Rojas Jr. is a really good grappler. Not like an amazing striker or anything, but he is a good grappler. He has been training, even though he's only 18. He has been training, I think, since he was maybe 5. So you got to look, that's probably about 13 years of training. It's a long time. And when you're young like that, you're like a sponge. You literally take everything in. Sorry, all these pop-up ads, these Puas. Okay, so I mean, he is undefeated as of right now. He beat Jay Perrin by rear naked choke in his debut. He looked really good in this fight. I could see him honestly probably doing the same thing to Christian Rodriguez. Maybe not getting a submission, but I could definitely see him mauling Christian Rodriguez for 3 rounds and getting the win. So I'm going to have to pick Raul Rojas Jr. for this one. Okay, then we have Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. So both guys are really good strikers. Kevin Holland's definitely longer, definitely will be the quicker of the two. Ponzinibbio is very powerful, aggressive. So, I mean, he did just beat Alex Morono, 3rd round knockout, lost to Michelle Pereira before that, and lost to Jeff Neal. And Kevin Holland, I believe his last fight was against Stephen Thompson, who he lost to. Let's see here. Yeah, so he lost to Stephen Thompson, a retirement 4th round. And before that, he lost to Kamzat. Before that, he beat Tim Means, Alex Oliveira. I mean, this guy's exciting, fun to watch. He's fought some tough guys, willing to fight anybody. Stephen Thompson's a super good striker. The fact he was even able to hang in there that long with him into that late in the fight, I don't think Ponzinibbio will give him the same issues. I feel like Stephen Thompson was definitely more technical, technically better of a striker than Kevin Holland, where Santiago Ponzinibbio isn't anywhere close in technique level to Stephen Thompson, in my opinion. He is definitely more aggressive, different style, but I don't think he's as technically as good as Stephen Thompson. I do think in this fight, Ponzinibbio versus Kevin Holland will actually have the technical striking advantage, the range. So I think I think Kevin Holland will pick his shots a lot easier. I could actually see him getting maybe a late finish in this fight or winning a decision. I won't be surprised if Ponzinibbio tries to pin him up against the fence, do a lot of cage work, try and tire him out, maybe kind of grapple Holland a lot more. I think that's his best route to victory, getting in his face, not letting Holland keep him at distance and pick him apart. Because Kevin Holland, like I said, is long, very quick, good technical striker. But for this one, I am going to pick out Kevin Holland. I feel like he should be able to get it done late in the fight or win a decision. Okay. So then we have Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Super excited for this one. Both guys are really good strikers, really good boxing for both guys. Adrian Yanez is really good, really quick hands, but also really good defense. Really good at blocking kicks and countering right away, or countering right away, which is really nice to see. He doesn't let anybody just kick for free. When you throw a kick, he's going to be countering you or blocking the kick and then countering immediately after. And he has a lot of success with that. Mixes it up with his hands really well, going to the head, going to the body. Very sharp, patient, just really quick and precise. Really fun to watch. Rob Font is very similar in that sense. I do think Rob Font, he probably throws his shots with a little more power. That being said, I would say he has a little bit more of the power advantage. Yanez has a little bit more of the speed advantage. With that being said, I think both guys have really good hands. When he fought Chito Vera in this fight, the first few rounds, he was doing so good with the boxing. He threw so many shots from what I remember. I haven't watched it in a while, but he looked really good in this fight. And this will be a tough one. I think this is Adrian Yanez's definitely toughest fight yet that he'll have. I'm gonna have to pick Rob Font for this one. Part of me thinks Yanez can pull it out, but in his last fight, he was getting hit quite a bit. I do think if he gets hit from Rob Font, the way he was in his last fight, I think Rob Font has definitely much better boxing than the last guy that he fought, and he was getting touched up by that guy. So I do see Rob Font probably just having too much volume for him. But I won't be surprised if Yanez clips Rob Font and hurts him as well. Just based on here, if you look at Rob Font, sure, he lost it by guillotine choke to Pedro Munoz. I don't see him getting tapped out by Adrian Yanez, to be honest. And if you look at his actual fights, he loses most of his fights by decision. So, as you can see here, he's lost one fight by guillotine. Other than that, every other fight that he's lost has been by decision. So he is very tough, very hard to finish. The way Chito head kicked him in his fights, couldn't put him away. I'd be very surprised. If Adrian Yanez puts him away, I'd be very surprised. But I mean, anything can happen. That's the crazy thing about the sport. But I do see Rob Font probably pulling it out and just having too much volume, hitting Yanez a little bit harder than his past opponents have hit him, and being able to win and just being technically better than his past opponents. So I could see Rob Font definitely winning this fight. Okay. Then we have Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. I'm torn on this fight for a few reasons. So Gilbert Burns has been more active. So let's see the last time Masvidal fought. So Masvidal definitely has the experience advantage. He's fought super high level competition. So has Gilbert Burns, though. I thought he actually just won that fight against Khamzat. I had it 2-1. I had it scored super close fight, super competitive, but I do think he edged that fight out just slightly. It's one of those fights. They scored it for Khamzat. Either way, I see how somebody could think either guy could have won, honestly. If you said Kamza won, I wouldn't disagree with you. If you said Gilbert Burns won, I wouldn't disagree with you as well. It was a super close fight. I just don't think I think sometimes people get a little bit biased on who they're picking, but Gilbert Burns did look amazing in that fight. So did Kamzat. It was a great fight. So that being said, he is on a 3-fight losing streak. Masvidal, before that, he beat Nate Diaz, beat Ben Askren, Darren Till, lost to Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia. So, I mean, he hasn't won a fight since 2019. That's why I'm kind of torn on this fight. I do feel like his focus isn't on fighting how it used to be. He's like kind of promoting, has his own boxing promotion now, his own MMA. I think he did a couple bare knuckle competitions. Where Gilbert Burns, this is what he's focused on, like 100%. I mean, I think he has a jiu-jitsu school, but other than that, like, let's see, he's fought, like, he just beat Neil Magny by arm triangle choke the first round. Very good grappler. Like, the thing is, I feel like he has more tools to win the fight. He's very well-rounded, probably one of the most well-rounded guys in the division. Good striker, pretty good wrestling, and amazing grappling. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, if he won this fight, which technically I did score this fight for him, he would be on a 3-fight winning streak right now. And then his last loss was to Kamaru, who he almost finished in that fight as well. So I mean, and then before that he beat Woodley and Maia. So it's tough because Masvidal hasn't won a fight since 2019. Lost to Covington, and Covington isn't the most active guy either. So I think if Gilbert Burns fought any of these guys, I think he has a good chance against all of them, to be honest. So for this one, I just think Gilbert Burns has too many tools to win. I think Masvidal will definitely have the striking advantage, but who knows? I don't know how much he's been training compared to like and staying active compared to Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, one thing about him, he keeps getting better and better. And not to say Masvidal hasn't, but I think at a different rate they're getting better. So I think Gilbert Burns probably getting better quicker because he's staying active and he keeps trying to. I think his goal is literally still to become the champion. I don't know what Masvidal's goals are. So for this one, I'm gonna have to pick Gilbert Burns. I think his path to victory is to strike with Masvidal for a little bit, mix up the cage work, try and get it to the ground, mix it up with his striking. If he can get it to the ground, I think Masvidal will be in trouble. I think anybody against Gilbert Burns on the ground will be in trouble. So I'm going to have to pick Gilbert Burns for this one. Okay, so then we are on to the main event. We have Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2. This is their second MMA fight. First one, Adesanya was winning the fight going to the 5th round, I would say. It might have been 3-1 or 2-2 for round scored, I believe, going into I'd have to watch it back just to remember. But I do know I had Adesanya winning the fight going into that 5th round. Like, I'm like, if Adesanya wins this 5th round, it's over. I felt like Pereira did need a finish in that 5th round, which he ended up getting. With that being said, that first fight, I did pick Pereira to win that, and I just had a feeling he was going to get a late finish like he did. That being said, Adesanya almost finished him in the first round at the end of the first round. So very good high level fight. Doesn't get more high level than this for striking, especially. I hope they strike. I hope they don't try and make this a grappling match. I do think there is going to be some of that going on, whether it be on Adesanya's side to try and mix it up, to try and change the game plan a little bit against Pereira. I do hope. I mean, I just want to see these guys strike. It's just so exciting to watch such technical strikers fight, kind of dissect what they're doing in there. So Alex Pereira, he lost that fight by TKO. Before that, I mean, like, look, it's only lost to Jan and Pereira. There's really no blemishes on his career other than that. This was at 205. Jan's a savage. So, I mean, can't really say anything bad about Adesanya. He's a savage, good striker. I'd say he's definitely the more he switches stances, where Pereira more just stays in his traditional stance. Pereira is a little, I'd say Adesanya is a little more evasive. Pereira is definitely more aggressive. Adesanya probably has a little bit more of a speed advantage. Pereira kind of stalks his opponent, has a little bit more of the power advantage. He tries to do damage with all of his shots. Very patient. Alex Pereira, they're both very patient with their shots, but in different ways. Alex Pereira is very aggressively patient. He'll get in your face, try and cut off the ring, get some reads on what you're throwing, and then he'll time you and throw his nice left hook that he has, a really nice flying knee that he has, low calf kicks. Adesanya has a good arsenal of tools. He's a little bit more flashy, where Pereira is a little bit more traditional, very fundamental with a lot of power. Adesanya is very switches his stances, trying to set traps, where Pereira is more moving for, and I would say Adesanya is moving back. He's more of a counter striker for sure. He's definitely more of a guy that'll wait for you to throw, where Pereira is a guy who will get in your face, try and bait you to throw, and then he'll counter you, or he'll time you right before you throw and he'll beat you to the punch, which is a thing I really like about Pereira. He kind of, that's why I'm a fan of Pereira more than Adesanya, because he's always going forward trying to get a knockout. Like, not to say Adesanya isn't, but Adesanya is more patient. He's more likely to try to outpoint you to win the fight if he doesn't feel like he can get a knockout on you. Where Pereira is constantly trying to force, he just wants to knock you out. And he's very good at setting traps and finding his openings to do so. Adesanya is the next best guy at that. I truly believe that. With that being said, I'm gonna have to pick Alex Pereira for this rematch. I'm interested to see this. I really don't know how this one's gonna go. I do think Pereira's game plan going to the calf kicks, super smart last fight. I do think Adesanya is going to try to address that and do something. The thing is with Pereira, I think he hits so hard because he's so big and he's got such a technically good striking. It's hard for people once they start getting hit from his strikes, not for it to mess with them mentally and for them to be more cautious and tentative because they're so worried about getting knocked out against him. Where I don't think Pereira has that like mental block in his head. Like I feel like he's a lot, and I feel like he's just a little bit different mentally. I feel like he's mentally a little bit more of a savage. So I'm gonna have to pick Alex Pereira to win this one. I do see him. If it goes to decision, I think Adesanya has a good chance of winning it. Like I see it being a close fight again, but I really think Alex Pereira will push the pace on him late in the fight and probably get a finish again. So yeah, that's who I'm picking for that fight. So the fight of the night that I'm gonna pick, I do think, I mean, ultimately, we're probably looking at the main event here as fight of the night. I do think Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez will be a really good fight. I do think Burns versus Masvidal will be a really good fight as well. Although I do think Burns will try and take this to the ground. But I'm gonna have to pick Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya for this fight. And if you haven't done so yet, guys, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody watching. And just stay tuned for more fight prediction videos. I'll be coming out in the following weeks. All right. Thanks, guys.